Hey everybody, Aristotle back here with another unique farm, and yes, you didn't ask for it, nope, but here it is, we've got a rocket farm. Actually, this is a scalable creeper farm, produces gunpowder, combined with a sugarcane farm, highly efficient, that will make tons of sugarcane for you. You can scale it up or down, and it goes to just about any size, and I'm going to show you how to build it today. So come on, let's go. All right, so this farm is highly configurable. It produces two items, sugarcane and gunpowder. And you can use those items to combine to make rockets. We can go big with a heavy sugarcane production right up the backside here, just like this. Or we can go small like this one over here, where we get more gunpowder than we do sugarcane. And all we've got down here at the bottom is 22 plants. Like all my farms, this is going to be scalable. You can make it as big as you want, and I'll show you how you can make it as cheaply as you want. But in this case, this is going to be kind of an after the dragon type farm. When you've got your wings and you're out there flying around, you're going to need those rockets. So let's get you some rockets. All right, so this is a good time to take a little disclaimer break. Firstly, mob farms, no matter where you build them or where you build them, is actually extremely, extremely important. If you have a ton of caves underneath the ground there that you haven't lit up or spawn-proofed, you're not going to get the kind of spawns that you should. I have a masterclass video on mob spawning. I'll put a card up in the corner right now. Pay attention to that. If you want to get around all of that, just hang out about 128 blocks above the lowest point on your farm, and you should get maximum spawns like I do in my creative world. Second disclaimer is Bedrock players, you don't have quasi-connectivity. I'm very, very sorry. So you're just going to have to use the regular way that you normally set up your sugarcane farms. All right, back to the video. All right, so for today, we're going to be building two versions of this farm. I'm going to build them side by side so I can show you the differences. Now, if you want to go small, quick, and easy, or you just want the creeper portion of the farm, it's going to be shown right along with the sugarcane. I'll try and mark out in the timeline down below the best things that you're looking for, and I will include all of the materials in the comments to this video. But otherwise, this is going to be kind of an interesting process, trying something new here. So we'll see how it turns out. All right, so side by side, I'm going to build a big version and a small version, but either way, you're going to want to pick how much storage you want and where you want it. Now, if you want to recess it down into the ground, you totally can do that. Or if, like what I'm going to do here, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to pop what I think is going to be a good number of chests for my farm. Now, this will be my smaller farm where I'll need less chests. Now, pop some hoppers on the back of these guys, and now this is where you get to pick. Your farm is only going to be roughly about 12 blocks deep. So that's from the front to the back. But when we're talking side to side, that's where you're going to get the size of it. So you need to pick an odd number like 11, 15, 21. So I'm going to make this big one a 21 block farm. So I'm going to pop 21 hoppers on out. And 21 it is. There we go. All right, now for my smaller farm, I want to make this a little more cheaply. So I'm going to pop in two hoppers just like this. I'm going to add one more over here. And this farm's only going to be 11 blocks wide. So I'm going to add 11 blocks just like this to the back of that one hopper. So for the big farm, everything's going to land in the hopper chain here and get down to the chests. And my cheaper, smaller farm, I'm going to create a rail system. So I do need to add some more blocks here over to the other side just to match us up, just like that. And of course, we're going to need some power these rails. So I'm going to pop some redstone blocks in, but you're welcome to use torches to keep costs down. It's not too bad. And then coming in, we're going to create a nice rail system that runs in a big circle. And yes, you can get away with less powered rails than that, but in my case, I'm in creative. I'm going to use them. So in my large version, I'm going to connect up the sugarcane farm to the back, and I'm going to do that after building the mob farm. So you'll get to see that in a minute. But for the smaller version, well, I'm going to plant my sugarcane right as part of my collection system. Now, I like to plant sugarcane in moss. So what I'm going to do is cover up the tracks with either dirt or moss. You can use sand, but I don't recommend it. Now, grabbing some building blocks, what we're going to do is create a channel for water to run down the side here. And I'm using temporary blocks. You're going to need a few of those, of course. I'll have them in the list in the comments. And then I'm going to fill it up with water. You definitely have to do the same on the other side, just like that. It's easy enough to start your little minecart just by putting it on the one hopper there and go through. If later you want to upgrade your storage, you can add 2 more chests by the side and point this guy out and another hopper down there, and you got more storage if you need it later on. Now this farm's going to need a little light on the inside because we are building a mob farm over it. So you're going to cover the water with building blocks. Just make certain to grab a couple light source blocks just so it's not pitch black in there and spawning its own set of mobs. Now drop some building blocks on the back row of the blocks that are covering the water. Grab regular pistons and line them up so they're 1 block up from the moss, ready to punch down that sugar cane. Run a row of redstone right down the back of those pistons on both sides, of course. Pop your observers right on top of those pistons. In this design, where we're only 11 blocks wide, we only need 22 observers and 22 pistons, so it's not really that bad at all. And then for that quasi-connectivity, don't forget to put a row of blocks at the back of the observers, just like this. And what that does, it makes it so when a piston is triggered, only that piston fires, and thereby you're not losing any sugarcane and you're working at the most efficient rate. All right, now that we're all good here, you're going to see me use tinted glass, but the nice thing is these can just be building blocks. You have light on the inside, so it's okay to like shut this down. You can make these side panels just regular glass if you want, but what you're going to do is you're going to build it up to the top level just like this. On our big farm, now that we're back over here, what we're going to do is ring this whole hopper chain around. So we're just going to ring the hoppers just like this. Like I said, tinted glass, but you can use building blocks. That's fine. Now, if you're going cheap, this is going to be your first level. You're going to start off. You're going to count this as 1. And then you're going to go up 24 blocks. 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're building the big one here, you're going to do the same. You're going to go up 24 blocks, counting that first block as 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 23, 24. There we go. And now begins the painstaking task of making this whole thing enclosed. So what we're going to do is take this all the way up to that height, all the way around. Like I said, using building blocks is usually a better version. If you're using tinted glass, you can take it right up to the height of 24 blocks. But like you can see on this one, I wanted to show a cheaper version. So I used building blocks up here and then just kept the tinted glass in the area where I'd be watching the falling golems. Oh yeah, and before you build up over here, if you've got your sugar cane as part of the bottom, don't forget to plant it. Okay, that's the most painful process in building this whole thing. It's really just placing block after block. Whatever you do, don't put glass or see-through blocks or use any kind of materials that are going to let light through. Otherwise, that light's going to get into your mob farm and seriously reduce your spawns. So what we have here on the cheap side is going to be a 22-block sugarcane farm, and then we have a 24-block 2 deep, 11 wide space drop area for those creepers to fall down and die when they land on top of your sugarcane. For the expensive version, this is only 1 deep and 21 blocks wide, and it goes up 24 blocks, counting this block as the first block, or the first block above that hopper chain. Now go to the side of the farm that you want jutted out, and what you're going to do is you're going to create a platform that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks deep and as wide as you've chosen. 21 blocks wide for the 21, 11 blocks wide for the 11. And notice I'm counting that first block. It's on top of the glass. All right, done and done. Okay, so for the large farm, we're going expensive, which means we're using dispensers. So in this case, I'm going to put a temporary block and then another temporary block and then a permanent block. So there's a 1 block gap and it goes up 1, and I'm going to create a line right across the block. Okay, I'm going to skip the end, but every other block, I'm going to place a block just like this. And done. All right, in these gaps, I'm going to pop dispensers so they're poking out. I'm going to fill each one with 1 bucket of water. Now, in between each dispenser, I'm going to pop a 2 block high column just like that and continue that right on down the way. And across the back here, I'm going to pop my redstone. Now, this is more than 21 blocks long, and the signal's going to be coming from the side over here. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then on the 12th one, making certain I'm in between 2 dispensers, I'm going to pop a repeater so that signal doesn't die out before it hits the end. And just leave it on 1 tick and let it go down all the way to the end. For the super cheap version, I'm just going to come to the back and I'm going to pop 1 row of blocks right across the back like this. Skipping every other block, I'm going to create a 2 block column in between just like this. Now this is the cheaper version that doesn't use any dispensers. I'm going to come around to the back, and from this direction I'm going to place a trap door and open it up and keep doing that down the way just like that. All right, this next portion is the same for both farms. So coming off of the 2 block pillars, we're going to do this on the expensive one. We're going to drop a row of trap doors down on the floor all the way to the end here. And then off of these 2 high pillars and starting back in by the dispenser here, we're going to drop trap doors just like this. It doesn't matter which way they're orientated, they won't be moving. And we're going to continue it along, covering the sections that are open floor just like this. The ones on the floor will prevent spiders from spawning, and the ones on what's going to be the roof of this section will prevent anything but creepers from spawning. All right, so that's what the expensive version looks like, and this is what the cheap version looks like. All right, so first we got to build up some walls. Now, keep in mind, you're dealing with creepers here, and you're going to need to test some redstone. So I'm going to go too high on the sides here so I can add my water to the cheaper version. I am taking the time to just kind of cut out so I can eliminate extra blocks when I need to. I'm going to come around the back of the cheap version, and this is when I'm going to install my water. And then because I'm only 11 blocks long, I can just run a straight line of redstone down this back line here. I myself like to leave the back open here, so I feel comfortable covering up the top with bricks, as well as bringing up the sides here and the front face of the drop area to match, just so I can kind of go up. But that keeps the point of light from entering here and here, so if I have to climb in because I missed a trap door or something, or I need to fix something, I can still get in there without blowing the whole thing up. So you'll notice if I stick to the area where we have trap doors and go across using full blocks, I end up with the same 8 by 21 platform that I had before. Now, if you're going to use slabs or something like that, you can, but just remember light's going to get in here, and you'll want to check it for light, and you need it pitch black, light level 0. That's what you need down here. but you'll notice when I cover just the trap doors and I cut the corners here, I've got an 8 deep, 21 wide platform, just like when I first built at the top of the drop thing, so I can use this as level 2. So what I'll do is I'll come in here and I'll do my back and repeat the whole process over until I have 3 full levels. On the cheap side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to build up the front facing side of my drop area here to match in height. So I've got that going right there. And then again on the trap doors, and just kind of using the trapdoor area as a border, just like this, I'm going to build out and cover with full set of blocks, just so I don't have to worry about light creeping in from the edges. All right, and that leaves me with an 8 by 11, just like I started off this base from, and I'm going to do the exact same thing over again to create levels 2, and I'm going to go up till there's 4 levels in this one. The cool thing about this design is it does actually allow for chain spawning, as you have several blocks that are not interrupted like some of the other farms that go through, and that can have a significant effect on the number of creepers that you can spawn at one time, because 4 is better than 1. All right, so in the cheap farm, I have 4 levels. I got all my trapdoors in place, so it's 7 open blocks, and then in the 8th block in the back, I've got a trapdoor holding back some water. So when I power that up with some redstone, it'll drop a water stream that'll end right at the edge and not flow down. And that'll just move every creeper that spawns in these open paths right to the end, and they'll drop. Now you'll notice I still have the backs open for safety, and that's when we're going to be testing the redstone. I will be double checking that I remember to pop the redstone lines behind here. Of course, same thing on my big expensive version, and making certain I have that repeater and it's in between dispensers so that it doesn't make it skip a dispenser right there. And I'm going to double check all of my dispensers and make certain they've got water buckets in them and they are ready to go. Okay, all good on both farms, so it's time to build the etho clock. All right, this is exactly the same on both farms. So you go, if you're facing the back side of your redstone on either farm, you're going to go to the bottom level, all the way over to the left, and you're going to drop a block right on the end there. Then you're going to come underneath, put a temporary block, and then come out 2, and then get rid of that temporary block. Now, off of these 2 right here, you're going to go 1, 2, 3. So that's 1 more to make it 3, and you're going to put 2 blocks on the left, and then you're going to go 1, 2, 3 on the right, and then you're going to take this whole platform and make it 2 blocks deep, just like this. So you should have 4 blocks here, 2 blocks in line with that coming in here, so 4 blocks total, and then 6 blocks over on this side. Grab your hopper, pop the first one down, point it into the ground, and then shift click your second hopper into your first one, break the first one, and then shift clicked it into the other one so that both spouts are pointed at each other just like this. Jump up on top of the hoppers, and you're going to pop a comparator down on that side, comparator down on that side. You're going to go a block in the corner, and then go 1, 2, redstone, just like this, 1, 2, redstone, just like that. Your sticky pistons are going to go against those blocks, 1, 2, and that should leave you a 2-block gap right next to the hoppers, of which you're going to pop a redstone block on the piston that's away from your edge here. Now, jump up top here, go into the hopper, and this is where you're going to drop your 32 items, just any old one of them. And what that's going to do is that's going to start the hopper clock. So as these drain out in this hopper and they fill up in this one, once it gets to 32, it'll reverse, move the block away, and then boom, there you go, and start filling up the other hopper again. All right, so on this part over here, you're going to pop 1 redstone dust, and then a redstone repeater that's pointed into this block. Now this is where we're going to build our column of torches. So we're going to pop a redstone torch here, which you'll notice just turned on every dispenser on that row. Now right on top of that redstone torch, we're going to pop a block, pop another torch, and then pop a block just like this, which you'll notice just fired up this whole row here. And then what we're going to do is pop a redstone torch and a block and then finish with a redstone torch for level 3. No matter if you just keep going up, let's say you have 6, 7, 8, 9 levels of this, that's absolutely fine. The pattern will always match up so that either the block or the redstone torch itself lights up or doesn't light up that particular line. And as the etho hopper clock changes back and forth, it'll power on and power off, turning some dispensers on and some dispensers off level by level, and it'll always be the full levels there. Once you're ensured that a couple of things that you need to make certain to happen. Number one, that they're all flowing, they're all loaded, and all the trapdoors are in place. The second thing you want to make certain is that you're not getting a solid water block source. That's what these 2-block columns are doing right here. They're preventing a solid source of water from forming. You know how you drop a bucket on one side and a bucket on the other, and the block in the middle becomes a water source block? Yeah, we don't want that to happen. Otherwise, there will be water here constantly, and that'll be trouble. And as you can see, everything is exactly the same on the smaller, cheaper farm. But in the case of this one, when the trapdoors are not powered, what you end up getting is just a stream flow of water, and then when the trapdoors get powered, they close up and prevent the water from flowing on through. Okay, only 2 things left and this creeper farm is done. So what you want to do here is you need to cover up everything, make it dark inside, and that means if you were careful about how you did the front, all you should have to do at this point is come up and cover the dispensers down the back and those back openings there, and of course do the same for each level all the way through. Doing that should make the inside of this farm completely dark, just like that. Trust me, don't skimp on the top. Use full blocks instead of slabs. You'll trust me later. Covering up this farm takes a little bit more work on the cheaper side because you can't plop blocks down on that redstone there. So you're going to kind of have to go around it and encase it in just like this. So what I do is I usually start with a block on the end and I come around the back, cover all that up, making certain to cover up the torch too, because you'll notice some of the torches will actually let the light in over there, and then some of them won't. So you'll want to just go through and use your best judgment, and then of course fill it in so that nothing else can be seen and no light gets in. Double check for things like this, like light is getting into the farm from that one torch there, so you will have to block that off. But that guy's good and that guy's good, and I blocked off this one as well, or at least I had. There we go. And we block it off. But just watch those torches and you should still be able to see them switch and light up or extinguish depending on what level they are, and that'll tell you that everything's working out all right. So that gives us a completely dark farm with alternating water. Every time that etho clock switches, you'll see that water change. And the last thing to do is you need to light up or spawn proof the top of this build all the way around, anything that can be spawned on, because if it's just one more place for things to spawn on, well then you won't get those drops inside your hoppers because they're on top of the farm. Through, you can use buttons, carpet, even just popping a couple torches on the top is absolutely enough to keep, as long as you keep the light level above 0. All right, so for our cheap farm here, we've already been producing sugarcane, and now the gunpowder's coming too. But we still need to add sugarcane to the more expensive farm. So here's how we do that. All right, so since we're going expensive, what we're going to do is break out your hoppers, and you're going to point into this hopper right here. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All pointed in that direction. Grab your building box, and on the back of this guy, you're going to pop down 1, 2, and they're going to be right on level with those. And then you're going to make this whole thing, counting from the hoppers here, 21 blocks long, or as long as your farm is wide. All right, grab either your redstone blocks or redstone torches, and about a third of the way in from each end, you're going to want to pop those things right there. Torches can go underneath, obviously, or the redstone blocks just like this. Your rails are going to go 2 over those last 2 hoppers, and then continue on through, making certain to lay down plenty of powered rails to get that minecart up to speed to cover this distance. Regular rails again, powered rails, get you down close to the end, and then circle back around, making certain to power up those rails. And like before, I used more powered rails than is needed, but you know, I'm in creative. Look, just a couple here, two there, two there, and two there are enough to get you around the circuit without any problem. All right, grab your moss, grab your dirt, grab whatever you want to plant your sugarcane in, and it's going to go over the rails. Not the rails with the hoppers, but it's going to go all the building block rails right on back. So 2 blocks wide, just like that. And just like we did at the beginning of this video, what we're going to do is create a channel right here by using a temporary block and then creating a channel so that we can flood it for our sugarcane. And of course, we're going to have to do both sides and of course, fill these guys up with water to get both sides. There we are, looking good. Now, remember in the beginning when we were covering up stuff and kind of going through, we have created a beautifully dark space here with a mob farm. So one of the things that we definitely want to do is make certain there is some light in this area. So we're going to use light like sea lanterns or some glowstone, and we're going to make certain to light up the inside of this farm. We definitely do not want to turn it into another mob farm. All right, so we're going to come down and pop down our pistons just like we did before, just on a bigger scale. We're going to make certain to fill in our blocks that are 1 block lower, but right behind those pistons. And that's so we can drop our redstone line down right behind those pistons. And then it's observers with their faces towards the sugarcane. And then our blocks for quasi-connectivity, just like that. Now give it a test, and boom, 1 piston firing. Okay, plant your sugarcane. You can cover up these ends with some glass, just using 6 pieces, just like that, so that the sugarcane doesn't pop out. Come around on over to the other side. Now, before you want to shoot that off, though, you know, one good thing to do is get your hopper minecart ready to go. So hopper minecart in hand, pop it on the end, and then just give it a little bit of a shove. And it should hit those powered blocks and take off and just keep going and going. So there's 40 plants just in this section alone. If you want to do some more, you can do like the other one, up to 4 stations. It's really quite easy. All right, so to extend this up, it's pretty easy. Grab some hoppers and some barrels, and what you're going to do is you'll see this one hopper right here. It's got a clear shot all the way to the top. It doesn't have any blocks above it or carts running above it, so it's all good. So come up on top of this hopper here, and what you'll do is you'll pop a barrel just like this. You'll pop a hopper, and then another barrel, and then another hopper, another barrel, and then you're going to pop a hopper right on top of that last barrel. And then what you're going to do is add hopper, 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 just like this, just like we extended out before from the bottom, right above those 2 glass blocks. And that's when you can pop in your building blocks for your rails. And you can see why I said it was important to light up that farm on the inside. You've only got light from the ends. So if you went and made this thing like 51 blocks long for some reason because you wanted a mega farm, you can totally do it, but it's going to be dark in the middle. So you want light in those light blocks down at the bottom. Now that these are in, I can just start doing the same thing I did with rails and repeat the process until it's all done. And there's enough space to do this for 4 levels. So 1, 2, 3, 4 levels all the way up to the top. And it gives you a nice 1 block gap right from underneath the bottom of the farm there. Utilizing those barrels just saves you from a few extra hoppers and reduces lag. Although, you know, you still got plenty of hoppers going around. And the last question to show you how do you build that cool rocket on the side of the farm? Well, it's pretty easy. What you do is come up to the center of the farm right here. You can pop 1 red wool, then 3, and then 5 red wool. You can grab white, and you're going to come down here 1, 2, 3, just like this. And what that's going to do is start off your stripes. And so you're going to have like a slanty stripe of red there. And then you're going to have 2 blocks of white under each one. And then you're going to have another stripe of red. And that's going to be the bottom of the rocket. So we just fill in those last little bits with red, just like this. Come to the center one here. You go black, 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 and then black, black. And there you go. There's a rocket for you. All right, so we're going to empty out all of these farms, and then we're going to run them for an hour, and I'll let you know how it came out. All right, 1 hour up. Let's check the results. Small farm's looking good. We got a stack and a quarter of sugarcane. That's only 22 plants working, so that's not bad at all. So we're hitting our efficiency levels there, and definitely with 3 stacks of gunpowder, we're looking good. The big farm is knocking it out of the park with all 4 units of sugarcanes going. With that's oh geez, what is that? That's like 160 plants. We're getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Almost 9 stacks of sugarcane, and of course we got our full 4 stacks of gunpowder, and then some right there. And that's it. That's the farm. I hope you liked it. I enjoyed showing it to you. See you again next week with another new creation of mine.